Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Brewing with Jim.
And from me, too. I'm Jim. Thanks, Joseph.
Absolutely.
Let's do this.
Let's do it. Absolutely.
Okay.
This is a show where we get audience questions about any part of life. Usually it's about faith, relationships, school, but we just try to provide wisdom and insight from our experience, from Scripture, from any source of truth that we
Truth,
can.
yes.
Yeah, and we just try to, again, just provide advice.
So here we are to do that.
Indeed.
Okay.
Our question today is, it's a little bit of a two-parter. I'm going to read they're two distinct questions.
Okay.
We're going to tackle both of them today.
All right, let's go.
The questions are, how long should people date before they get married? And then the second question is, generally speaking, how old should a person be when they get married?
Okay. Like minimum age.
Yeah.
Or maximum. No, minimum.
I'm assuming a minimum. Yeah.
Okay, let's do this. The first part is, how long should a person date?
Yeah.
Let's talk about, you and I are both married.
Indeed.
So we have some
Not to each other.
experiential. Not to each other, no.
Just to clarify.
But, yes, and one of us has been married longer than the other one.
That would be you.
That would be, yes, here I am. So we have some experiential knowledge, but there's not always a lot of wisdom in experiential knowledge. The wisdom comes from God's Word. The wisdom comes from a good sense, actually, and sometimes from observation and the experience of others. Marriage is, let's start with this. The primary purpose of marriage is for a man and a woman to have children, either offspring of their own or adopted, but have children and raise those children and be prepared to have them mature to go into the world to be the way that God intended them to be. That's the primary. That's not the only reason,
of course,
for marriage, but that's
not,
the primary reason. Okay. The couple of things need to be looked at when we think about how long should a person date. A person dating, if it's designed for the ultimate goal of marriage, and not all dating is, it can be just friendship and going out and so forth, and developing a relationship with the other sex. But the primary purpose of the dating, when it is marriage, is to ascertain if the other person is a good fit.
That's right.
For us. Now, a good fit in what way? And I think there are two concepts, notions that we need to look at. One is, how mature is the other person, or how skilled is the other person, or experienced with commitment. Marriage is a commitment, and it's a promise before God and before God's representative who's officiating the wedding, and to each other, that we're going to be together no matter what.
Right.
No matter what.
Absolutely.
And there are many people who are culturally influenced right now that we don't make those kinds of commitments. I will be together with you as long as you meet my expectations, as long
convenient.
as we are convenient,
if it's affordable.
Yes, as long as we are cordial with each other,
healthy,
and healthy,
anything,
all of that.
Yeah.
That is not the idea of the marriage. The marriage is that we are going to be together until one of us dies, or both of us die.
Yeah, of course.
And yes, and that measure of commitment needs to be observed and looked at. The other is, what are the values of the other person? There have to be compatible values. The value is going to be life values.
That's right.
Not do we like to do the same kinds of things, because that can change. Not are we attracted to each other physically. That will change.
It will change.
That will.
Indeed.
Are we going to be compatible socially, intellectually, politically, and so forth? Yeah. Well, we have to evaluate the values and know that the values are the same. If the values are not the same, we're going to get out of bed every morning for a different reason. And those values can be having Christ in our life. That's one. If one does and the other doesn't, then you're living for a different reason.
That's right.
You're getting out of bed for a different reason. You're following a different purpose. That needs to be in line.
That's right.
Now, certain political values, Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. If
Might
one
make it awkward.
If
Yeah.
one person is for capital punishment and the other one is opposed to capital punishment, one is for pro-abortion and the other is anti-abortion, those values are going to conflict if they maintain the same position.
That's right.
Are going to conflict, and that's going to cause either an avoidance of talking about these things,
That's right.
or how are we going to train the kids? What are we going to say to the children about these values?
Yeah.
So those are the two observations, evaluations that I think are the purpose of dating.
Yeah.
Make some commitment analysis. Has this person changed jobs? Has he quit the job? Has she quit the job because she didn't like somebody there? Did they quit school or did they stay in school? Did they? What kind of a commitment have they made? And are they used to this? Or are they just a butterfly going from one blossom to another?
Exactly.
And okay.
Absolutely.
If that's the case, find someone else.
Exactly.
Because the commitment won't be there.
Yeah.
Now, how do you evaluate if the values, that sounds like saying value many times.
It's okay.
How do you evaluate the values of another person? And you do that with conversation. You do that with primarily probably conversation, but look at the life.
And observation.
We should help the poor. If that's a value of the other person, have you been doing that? Do you do that? How do you do that? How often do you do that? Are you committed to doing that? And when those evaluations are found to be compatible, when the values are there and you're compatible with them, then maybe the purpose of the dating is satisfied.
Yeah.
And now there are other aspects of being married. Do we like to do the same things?
Right.
Probably not. Not 100%.
Not entirely.
But
no.
what one of us sacrifices because we enjoy watching the other person enjoying doing what it is they want to do.
That's right.
And I don't have to have the same enjoyment. What are we going to watch on television? Well, you like this show, and I don't particularly care for it, but I want to watch it because I like watching you watch it and having a good time with it, and then it will be satisfactory for me too, or maybe even enjoyable.
Yeah.
Okay, there's that.
That's wonderful.
Now, how long does that take? I don't know. I don't have a magic number of the number of months.
Yeah.
Debbie and I dated, I think, 5 months.
Yep.
I would say that's too short to really make.
Perhaps,
But I didn't know what I know now and what I have just stated about why we're dating.
Yeah.
We enjoyed each other. I found her attractive in almost every way.
Yeah.
And now we have been married 53 years.
It's amazing.
And the longevity of a marriage depends upon who is the best forgiver in the marriage, because that is another value
That's
you
what
might
allows
look
it to
at.
keep going.
So I think that I want to hear from you about this too, but I think that you date long enough to make some determination. I think one night in Las Vegas and then off to the wedding chapel is too short.
That's right.
I think if we are not dating but living together for 5 years, something's wrong here. Yeah. There is a failure to communicate, or to commit.
Yeah.
There's a fear in somebody of why aren't we committing?
Yeah.
Now, another aspect of this is, when will we be ready to get married?
Yeah.
Never.
Never.
No, it doesn't happen. It's just not a good time. I want to go to school. I want to finish school. I want to, I've heard women say that I want to have a career, and I want to have the career before I have the children, and then I can see if I like the career. That's backwards.
Yeah.
You have the children first.
Yeah.
Because there's a time commitment there.
That's right.
And then you explore having a career if you want to. Yeah. But because our primary reason for being married is to nurture the children, let's have them.
Yeah.
Let's have them. What do you think?
Yeah, there's so much. I agree about everything you said. Back to the original question of just how long should a person date? It sounds proportional, like the amount of time sounds like it should be proportional to how seriously you take marriage.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So if you are like you and I, to our wives, and like any, I think, person that understands the gospel or a Christian view of marriage, you take marriage very seriously. It is till death do us part. It is what you've said. It's a serious commitment. That, for me, necessitates perhaps a little bit of a longer period of getting to know the person
Yes.
before committing, because it's a bigger commitment.
Right.
Right. If you have less of a view of marriage, and if you view marriage as something that is not as significant or that is not permanent, well then, yeah, you don't need to date someone for very long before committing, because the commitment doesn't mean much anyway.
The attitude can be there. Let's try it. If it doesn't work out, we'll just split up.
Exactly.
And that isn't now. Yeah. How do you make these evaluations? Because we're going to be biased by our desires to be married to this person, and maybe I'm not seeing it clearly. I am a strong advocate of premarital counseling.
100%. Absolutely.
Premarital counseling. Most of the pastors I know will not perform or officiate at a wedding. There has not been premarital counseling.
Yeah.
Now, Debbie and I went to premarital counseling. It was 25 minutes.
You've told us about this, I think.
It was very, and I thought, okay. Now, I have done.
And you didn't even know the guy, right?
No, we didn't.
Yeah, I was going to say, they had no conception of who you were.
No, we didn't. But I have done, for decades, many sessions of premarital counseling.
Yeah.
My premarital counseling is 6 weeks, 1 hour a week.
Yeah.
6 times. And I have exercises for them to do at home to write on paper certain things. And we take a really close look. I am not a predictor of which marriage is going to make it and which ones. I can't tell that. I think with some I have, yes, this one isn't going to make it. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the premarital counseling, I will let them know if I will officiate at the wedding or not. Mm-hmm. And I have said no. Yeah. Because you have these speed bumps, and some of them are barricades, and you're going to have problems in your marriage, and these need to get worked out. Yeah. Or you need to find somebody else. Yeah. This is not the person for you. Yeah. Premarital counseling, 100%.
100%.
100%. We have to do that.
It was excellent for Emily and myself. We, for what it's worth, you mentioned 53 years. We've been married for 4.5 years, which is a significantly smaller number. But it's been a great 4.5 years. And it's a traditional or a stereotypical thing to say, but like marrying Emily is like the best decision of my life. Right. She's awesome. And our premarital counseling was similar in scope, I think, to what you said you require of people. There were multiple sessions. I think it was weekly. We got deep on, one session was entirely about finances. One session was entirely about like expectations around sex. One session was about like even like just sort of household living, chores, maintenance,
egalitarian role models.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So there's no holding back, and there shouldn't be with premarital counseling. If you're gonna again commit to someone for the rest of your life, you shouldn't go into it with any stones unturned. Right. Have the hard conversations up front and see how you handle them.
And you need to find a premarital counselor, or sometimes it's a couple. Yeah. And make sure they know what they're doing, and if they don't, pull out.
Exactly.
And go to somebody else. Yeah. You were talking about egalitarian role models and who's going to do what. That's one of the assignments. I send them home. And each of you independently and privately write down 25 things you expect your spouse to do. And brilliant. I mean, and it's going to be who cooks the meals and who does the laundry and who goes to back to school night and who takes care of the finances and who takes care of the cars and who, on and on. Most of those values that a person writes down will be from their family of origin. Yeah. This is how my mom did it, and my dad took care of the cars, and so I would expect that that's the way it's okay. Then they come together with these 2 sheets of paper, and they have never looked at the other one, and I read them, and we go through them point by point, and they look at each other like, "What?
Are you serious?
I'm doing this? I didn't know. Well, no, I'm going to be handling the money. I'll reconcile the checkbook. I'll pay the bills. Okay. Well, no, I want to do that. And then we can work that out. Those are not deal breakers. Those are just something that needs to be worked out. So there will be no surprises once that gets going.
That's right. That's a good way to put it. You just don't want surprises after you're already wearing the rings.
Well, you're not. You are not your mom and dad, and your marriage is not going to be as theirs is.
That's right. To be clear, there will be surprises.
Oh, there will be.
There will be. But like the big interpersonal stuff, especially when it comes to like communication, even like respect for each other, these stuff like that. Those are things that you should be well experienced with each other before getting married. You should see your partner in a lot of different situations. How do they act in a stressful situation?
That's right.
How do they act in on a day where nothing goes their way?
Is their default emotion anger?
Exactly.
Or is it just laughing that this was a frustration? Let's figure out how to fix it.
I mean, God forbid, have you ever noticed a propensity towards like violence? You know what I mean?
Right.
There are immediate red flags that you should give them enough time in a dating process. Call it a dating process. It's more than that.
It is, but
you should be comfortable knowing the person that you're going to marry in a range of different emotions and situations.
How does your prospective spouse behave around children?
That's a huge one.
Oh,
my goodness.
Don't take them saying, I'm going to evaluate you and watch you relate to this. No, you just happen to be around children sometime, and who is caring and who wants to know, or who's annoyed by the kid. The same thing, how does my spouse relate to animals and to pets and so forth? Do you want to have kids? Yes. How many? Well, I don't. Now, all that doesn't have to be decided, but there has to be a look at
some kind of
general
direction.
Do you want children? Do you like children? Do you? And who's going to take care of all the needs that the child has?
It's fascinating. You mentioned how are they around kids? How are they around animals? Because I've heard people say before, and I feel like I've observed this to be true in like limited snippets of time, but how a person treats animals is like derived from how they will also treat children.
I think there is something to that. I don't know if the correlation is exact.
It's not 100%. But like the idea is like if you see a person that just like pushes their dog aside, go away, and maybe like hits their dog or something like that. Like there is more of maybe a predisposition to red flags more around children with the same kind of behavior.
Well, I have seen fathers who probably should never have had children. Yeah. Should never.
Absolutely.
And their approach to the child is anger. And yelling. And so forth.
And just distance and just coldness.
Yes. So let's get this evaluated. That's the reason to date. Now, how was part of this question? I have forgotten, but was part of this question how old should a person be?
The questions
I don't have
how long to date.
How long to date? We did
my
that.
general answer is like a significant amount of time.
Well, until this evaluation is done, and you're not going to do it in 24 hours.
That's right. Yeah, it's different for every couple. For Emily, you mentioned for you it was 5 months. For Emily and I, we dated about 1.5 years before we got engaged.
Well, you know what? That reminds me. Some of the people that couples have come to me, and they don't want premarital counseling. They want pre-engagement counseling. And I have done. It's the same way. I don't change the approach. But should we even consider this? Are we compatible? We'd like a third person with some wisdom and some maturity to take a look at our relationship. I don't decide yes or no on those. Go ahead if you want. Continue to evaluate, because once you are engaged, that is a commitment that we are going to get married. Now, one of the evaluations that is phony is I don't know if we should get married. Let's live together to see if
Yeah,
it's going to
no.
work out. And the
No.
reason that doesn't work is because the commitment hasn't been made.
That's right.
And when the commitment is made, living together is an entirely different animal than if there is no commitment. Because either one of you can walk out anytime you want to, and that's in the mind, insecurely,
Literally,
of the other person.
Yeah, I know literally, statistically, cohabitation, premarital cohabitation is a not a cause, but it's a leading trend of eventual divorces. That if a couple has lived together before they were married, they are more likely to get a divorce. And I think it's exactly for the reason that you said. Yeah.
Well, it's because it's always in the back of my mind that you can leave anytime you want to.
Exactly. And that's not appropriate. No. Okay, so first question was how long to date. Let's talk about how old should a person be.
I don't have a number. There is no magic number that you are ready to do this. Commitment, following the commitment, accepting it and abiding by it requires some maturity, some skill. Does a 14-year-old have that? No.
Nope.
No. Does a 25-year-old have that?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Some
but
of
there
them.
are people who have never been educated or counseled that they need to have a commitment with certain relationships. And what is it that is going to break you up? Now, what is it that's going to break you up from your work? You have the coworker that you don't care for, it annoys you? No. Do you stay? Do you work it out? Or do you flee from these relationships?
Right.
I don't have an age.
No.
I have seen people who in their 40s that should not be married.
Sure.
They just don't have the maturity to be there.
Yeah.
But listeners, people in the audience right now who are listening to us, if you're listening to this topic being discussed, you're probably on your way to, I want to evaluate correctly, and I want to make
probably at least 50th percentile.
I have counseled married couples, and one time the woman said, I knew walking down the aisle that this wasn't going to work.
My goodness.
And
what are you
said,
doing?
Well, why did you do that? You know what her answer was? We had already sent out the invitations.
You already paid for it.
We already paid for the invitations, so we had to go through with it. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
No.
That may be an expense. It is not even close to the expense that you're going to pay if you have to live with somebody.
I'd apply the same metric to the concept of embarrassment. It may be an embarrassment, but not nearly the embarrassment.
Well, exactly.
My goodness. Yeah, for me, the question of how old should a person be, it depends really. There's like two sliding scales that are moving at once. One is the individual person's maturity.
Yes.
And the other one is cultural. And what is like societally acceptable. Because you mentioned like a few minutes ago, like 14-year-olds getting married. There was a time in human history and places in the world where that has actually been normal.
Debbie's mother married at 14.
My goodness.
And
wow.
she was at school and had to leave school to go. They didn't need parents' permission in rural Missouri at this time. She was married at 14, and he was, her dad was, I think, 16. And then after the wedding, they both went home after school and stayed at home and told nobody.
Oh, my goodness.
And as the story...
So wait, they eloped?
Well,
at like
I guess
16 and 14?
Yes. You could call it a lope, I guess.
Is that like, did they do paperwork?
And
like, how did they do that?
Deb's mom has 4 siblings. There are 5 children.
Yeah.
Okay. They're all sitting around the dinner table. She is not the youngest, but the next to the youngest.
Yeah.
One of the siblings at the dinner table, so she told me, said, one of us, Mom and Dad, is married. What? Who? And there's
I am stuck on the logistics of this situation.
Oh, the whole thing.
Of like
is
the paperwork. Did the state know? Did
yes.
Did anybody
officiate No, it was a legit wedding.
Wow.
It was yes. And it didn't need that marriage lasted over 50 years.
Amazing.
Until
Yeah.
Deb's mom had Debbie when she was 16 years old.
Wow.
And so she wasn't pregnant at the wedding.
Sure.
But all that. Now, is that advisable? I would say today, no. It's ill-advised.
That is very
to do
ill-advised.
That. No,
absolutely
don't do
not.
that.
No.
And I am sure that every marriage, I'm not 100% certain, but I'm thinking that the majority of marriages have moments when I wish I weren't in this.
Sure.
And that's when you decide, am I going to the front door and walk through it, or am I going to work this out?
Yeah.
Or I don't even want to work this out. I am so annoyed with my spouse that I'm just going to withdraw.
Yeah.
Fine. Withdraw for a while, but don't get a divorce.
That's right.
The idea of getting a divorce is it's too rampant and it's too easy
100%.
in my mind.
Yeah.
It's over 50% the last statistics I've heard, and that's both in the church and outside of the church.
Absolutely.
Because the people just don't have I did premarital counseling with one couple, and the end of this is I said no to the wedding. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
He was 18 and she was 46.
Nope.
And I looked at this really closely. They had no compatibility. They had no concept of of commitment. They had not even examined the values. And I said no. Another pastor in the church conducted the wedding.
Oh, man.
And before the wedding, he came up to me. There was so much confusion about what was going on, and the two families weren't even talking to each other. And he came up to me and whispered in my ear, "This is a prelude to hell." And I said, "That's exactly what I told you. I told you that I would not do this.
Yeah.
Why aren't we?" That marriage lasted 19 months.
I can't imagine. Okay, picture you're 18 years old. You're about to marry someone who's 46. What is your plan?
And she looked much older, by the way.
What do you anticipate your life looking like in 5 or 10 years, let alone in 20 or 30 years?
Exactly.
Oh, my goodness.
Exactly.
Like, no offense to like older women, obviously, but in terms of like, I'm just saying from the perspective of a married man, the incompatibility that must have been so rampant as you described. Mm-hmm. Anyway, let me close out with sort of the
my goodness,
my thoughts. I know we've gone a long time. Maybe we skipped the second segment today, but because we kind of already did 2 questions for what it's worth. But we talked about at certain points in history, different cultures and time periods, whatever. Getting married in a teenage years is kind of normal. Today in America, I believe the average age of a person's first marriage is around 28, 29.
Okay, I was 28 when I got married.
Yeah, I was 28 myself as well. I feel like, I'm just going to throw my hands up in the air and say shrug. Like, the 20s sounds great. It's going to be different for each person. And I would argue that getting married younger has its advantages and drawbacks, and getting married older has its advantages and drawbacks.
Both.
And it's up to you. It's up to your relationship, you and your potential future spouse. What of those benefits and drawbacks do you want to sort of start to buy into and subsequently deal with?
Right.
I had a professor in college that did relationship advice and stuff like that. And he said that, like, for him personally, he had gotten married super young. They were like 18, 19. And he said the benefit is you get to grow up together. You get to develop together.
Yeah.
And so he's like, by the time we were like 30, we had so much experience with each other, and we were still so young, and we had vitality, and we had our health, and we were traveling, and we had just the experience was...
Sounds like an advantage.
It sounds like an advantage.
Yeah.
He says, but I've met people that get married for the first time together when they're each 35, 40 years old. Mm-hmm. And he goes, they appreciate that they had a lot of years to develop individually. And then they meet another individual of the same age that is also experienced and established, et cetera, et cetera.
So,
and that provides a
so there's no real number that we can give to people.
There's not.
Debbie and I got married, and we wanted to grow old together.
Yeah.
Now, well, that's done. Now what?
Checked that box.
That's over with. Okay, I'm done with this.
Let's do it.
Okay.
We are not going to do a second segment today just for time's sake. That's the surprise in and of itself.
That is.
But we want to thank our audience as always for listening. This has been a fun conversation, Jim.
It has been.
We have an email address set up that's brewingwithjim@gmail.com. That is open for our audience to email us with their own questions. If you have a follow-up to anything that we've said, if you want to introduce yourself, where are you listening from, how'd you hear about the show, anything like that.
Yes.
brewingwithjim@gmail.com.
Okay.
With that, it's another week in the books. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Jim. And to our audience, we'll see you again next week.
Yes, we will. Oh, see them? No.
You'll hear us.
You'll hear us again next week. Okay. Bye, everybody.
This episode has been a production of the Capistrano Valley Christian Schools Podcast Network. CVCS is a Christian TK through 12 school in San Juan Capistrano, California. Please visit cvcs.org/podcasts to listen to the variety of shows our students produce on our campus. You can also find all of our shows on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and others. We would also appreciate you subscribing to and leaving a review of this show and the other shows on our network in your podcast player of choice. If you have any questions or would like to reach out to us, please email podcasts@cvcs.org. On behalf of the school, this is Mr. Jasper, the executive producer of the podcast network. Thank you for listening and stay tuned for more.